call the meeting to order. If you'll please stand and join me in the invocation. Our Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for the opportunity to be here and to serve our county. Lord, I ask that you just bless each one that's here tonight. Lord, I pray a special blessing tonight on Eva Thorpe, our former grants coordinator. Lord, that you just be with her and touch her body tonight and heal her. Lord, I ask that you just have your will here tonight, God, that we would follow your will and do your will. Lord, we ask these things in your holy name. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're all on this SharePoint now. There was some thoughts before in the public that we're using these computers to email one another. We're not doing that, rest assured. We did a little number crunching I did quickly the other day. I don't know the real cost savings, but I can tell you that it's about 500 pages of copies per meeting that we're doing away with by being able to use these computers. So, and there's some growing pains here as we go, and just be patient with us and rest assured that we're not watching YouTube videos or emailing one another. So with that said, yes ma'am.
I just wanted to add that Jessica said we're also saving a lot in web posting fees.
Yes.
Or charges.
Yes, that was another big deal. So that's, I mean, in total savings, I hope in a few months we can be able to put that together and figure out what the real savings are. But I'm sure that it's going to be in our favor. So anyway, with that said, the first order of business is the approval of the agenda. Any changes?
That'll be your reports.
Modifications? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add two brief announcements. And under discussion, I would like to talk about the Transportation Disadvantage Coordinating Group and also the Big Bend Scenic Byway.
Okay, under discussion issues at the end?
Please.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a discussion item also.
Okay. One discussion item by any over here? No? I'd like to add, if you'll allow me, under awards and presentations, Mr. Jack Leppert and Mr. Joe Glisson is going to talk to us about the City of Tallahassee spray field. They want to give a little presentation prior to us dealing with it later in the meeting we'll actually take some action under our county attorney's items. So with that, hearing more changes or modifications? Yes?
Mr. Chairman, I have one change. I'd like to pull number 7 off the consent agenda for discussion.
All right. All right, do I hear a motion to approve with noted changes?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Brock.
Second.
Second by Mr. Merritt. Any more discussion? All for the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the next order of business is the public hearing. Lindsay Stevens.
Good evening, Commissioners. This evening's public hearing is a request for board approval. We're actually conducting the public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance amending Chapter 24, Article 2 of the Code of Ordinances to provide for regulations on concurrency management. The board is required, the county is required under Section 9J5 of Florida Administrative Code to adopt concurrency management system into our comprehensive plan, and we need to go further and actually implement that through our Code of Ordinances. Back in May of 2010, the county went through the ear-based amendment process to the comp plan and did make some changes to the concurrency level of service standards. And tonight's public hearing is to actually adopt an ordinance to provide for these changes on level of service, as also required by Florida Statutes 163.3202, which is to adopt or amend land development regulations within 1 year of submitting an amendment to the comp plan to the Florida Department of Community Affairs. This item was actually heard by Planning Commission back on February 14th, 2011, and at that public hearing, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of this ordinance to the Board of County Commissioners. Staff is here to answer any questions that the board may have on this ordinance. Just to briefly walk you through it, there were some changes within the capital improvements element to the comprehensive plan, and 4 level of service standards for potable water, sanitary sewer. We tweaked the parks and recreation level of service standards, transportation, and as you see also schools and drainage or stormwater quality. And again, these are just basically taking what we've adopted in the comprehensive plan and uploading it into a code of ordinances.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Merritt, seconded by Mr. Brock to
Conduct the second of 2 public hearings and vote to adopt the proposed ordinance amending Chapter 24, Article 2 of the Code of Ordinances to provide regulations on concurrency management based on the Planning Commission's recommendation and the finding of fact and conclusions of law made by the Board and any evidence submitted at the hearing hereon.
Thank you.
any more discussion?
I have a question, Lindsay.
Okay.
The level of service, how do we delineate Crawfordville? It's defined as E on state highways. It's defined as C. My concern would be Woodville Highway, for example. I don't know what level of service it's operating at now.
Woodville Highway has actually been designated as level of service C. Those changes within Crawfordville were noted as the Crawfordville overlay boundary or the Crawfordville town plan. We'll be having a workshop on that on Thursday to set the boundary for that, which we would set by ordinance. But essentially the level of service has not changed on Crawfordville Highway from Harvey Mill Road north to the Leon County line. That is still level of service E, since as we know those are some of the most constrained segments in our county. Level of service D change was from Harvey Mill Road south to US 98, and the remainder of the roads have been placed at level of service C. Prior to this change last year, they were level of service E. Woodville Highway, when these changes were made in the comprehensive plan last year, does have capacity available on it, and there was, I would say, at that time, a minimal impact to the number of available trips, if you will, on Woodville Highway. And since the date that these changes were actually placed in the comprehensive plan, there have been new traffic counts performed by the Regional Planning Council, and those show additional capacity out on the roadway network.
So the exact delineation of Crawfordville, we haven't officially done that yet, but have we officially done that, or was that something we're going to do later? Or
That's something that we're going to do as part of the town plan.
But as far as the roads go, we've done it.
Okay,
But I would think that Crawford, of course, it's ultimately what the board decides to do with the town plan, but I would be quite surprised if it reached all the way over to Woodville Highway.
The delineated boundaries of...
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we've never had that. I mean, I'd like to see us do that with all of our townships, if you would. You know, where is Crawfordville? I mean, you think we're sitting in it now, but if you go up the road a mile, folks that have lived here all their lives call it that area something else other than Crawfordville. So, you know, we need to delineate where Crawfordville is, and that would be nice to have.
that's exactly my issue. I might think Crawfordville is Winn-Dixie.
Right.
You might think it's at, Ivan Church Road, and we're adopting this basically, and if that's the case, that's fine, but we're adopting this with an as yet to be determined boundary. Is that correct? Whatever we decide Crawfordville is later, then will apply to this, but we have not delineated that yet. Is that?
Hold on, let's get Ms. Arson.
It's my understanding that the workshops that were conducted last summer were focused a lot on that, and that the workshop coming up on this Thursday, that Kimley Horn is actually coming with proposed boundaries for us to review and consider.
But again, it's not, as of today, there is
Right.
no line.
But we're getting really close.
Please.
Hold on a minute, Heather.
Are you just discussing the roads?
Lindsay.
Yes.
The roads have already been defined. There was all of our roads have been assigned already. As far as this goes, it's just Crawfordville Highway North, is E from Harvey Mill Road, and from Crawfordville Highway South to 98 is D, and then every other road in the county is a C, and that's been defined already.
Well, there's a difference between state roads,
All roads.
county roads.
All paved roads.
Well, then, so am I not correct then, or, I mean, is this something I shouldn't even be worried about, or?
The traffic circulation map, which was also an exhibit in our comp plan, does designate for state roads the link from Harvey Mill Road, that segment, north to the county line is remaining at level of service E. The segment from Harvey Mill South, again on State Road, that's D, and the remainder of the state roads in the county are level of service C,
Let me
which
just
is a
be-
consistent level of service with those across our borders.
Let me just be sure I'm understanding this. If we adopt this, our adopted level of service from Harvey Mill Road to the county line is E. So that's all I need to hear.
Correct, that's in our
That's
comp
the line.
plan currently, and that would be implemented through our ordinance.
I'm the same way you are, Randy, so I'll ask that same question again. E, you've got several different groups of classifications. You would have an E, and then your last classification may be an F. So E is sort of the least stringent before F. A is the most stringent coming down to E, and you're seeing from Harvey Mill to the Leon line would be an E.
Correct.
Okay? But we still need to,
Yeah, but
past this, we still need to know.
that answered my question. Where does it start and where does it stop? That was my question.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Any citizens?
Hearing none? No citizens to be heard? Okay. All for the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is awards and presentations, and we'll hear Mr. Howard Kessler.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, honorable commissioners. Howard Kessler, 251 Levy Bay Road. This evening I'm speaking about the concerned citizens of Wakulla County, or CCAL, as many of you know the organization. And they've always been concerned citizens. If you go back 10, 20, 30 years ago in Wakulla County, there were people that were concerned and willing to come together and advocate for the community, for the good of the county. The present version of Concerned Citizens is approximately 10 years old. And, of course, we have much to thank the people that came before and were a voice for the people. The mission of CCAL, as stated in its bylaws, and I'll quote, "The mission of CCAL is to bring the community together for a better Wakulla." And two, CCAL believes that a fair and just community can only be achieved through the practice of and commitment to democratic principles and values. To this end, CCAL, as a civil organization of record, encourages citizens of Wakulla County to exercise their right to participate in the process. And under Article 3, Purpose, it states that CCAL is a nonpartisan organization of individuals who are concerned with Wakulla County and Florida and seeks to identify issues that define relevant goals on any matters that are important to the quality of life in Wakulla County. There are several other things under this section as well, but I'll skip them. But over the last decade, CCAL has met as an organized group and provided educational experiences for our citizens. CCAL has conducted field trips that have explored the natural wonders of Wakulla County, from the Caucasian woodpecker to the fresh and saltwater marshes. CCAL has taken citizens on trips, has brought guest speakers, and has shown films. CCAL is the first organization to provide a venue during election periods that allowed for an impartial debate, for the opportunity of various candidates to not just have a quick speech or a soundbite, but actually debate issues. And CCAL has played a vital role in speaking to issues before the Board of County Commissioners at meetings and workshops. It is important for the citizens of our county to be engaged in their government. Our democracy demands a vigilant citizenry. This year, I had the honor and pleasure of serving as chairman of CCAL. In 2011, CCAL will be offering more educational opportunities for Wakulla citizens. We meet regularly on the third Thursday of each month at our library in Medart, and the meetings for 2011 on that day will be educational. Two events that are upcoming this month that the concerned citizens of Wakulla are providing. They will be showing two films on March 17th in our library. Two films are by George Sibley. One is 6 Fairy Tales of Growth in Florida, and the other is Phantom Future. Phantom Future makes the connection between Florida's rampant population growth, our water shortages, and degraded water quality in our aquifers and coastal waters, and identifies the principal growth factor of Florida's in Florida for that happening. The reading social hour begins at 6:30. It's actually a half hour. The films will begin precisely at 7. And there's another event that the immediately following day, the 18th, that CCAL is sponsoring, along with some other organizations, League of Women Voters, and just skips me right now, but there are combined efforts to provide an informative evening of instruction and conversation to explore Florida's Sunshine Law, public records, and meetings with Jim Ray, counsel for the First Amendment Foundation, and that will be on the 18th. And way in advance, I'll mention, because it's a very popular trip, May 14th is when we're planning to have the Caucated Woodpecker trip. Now, this is really, if you have never done this, it's incredible. You're taken into the forest, the national forest, the state forest, and you're actually there when the baby woodpeckers are taken out of their nest and banded. It's just an incredible experience, and I mention this way in advance because there's usually a lot of interest in that. There's also going to be another film that we're going to show, and that's called A Tale of Two Cities, and CCAL intends to extend a special invitation to the entire board to view that film with us, as I think it is very pertinent to what growth and planning is happening in Wakulla County. Of course, all these meetings, everyone is welcome, members and non-members. There's no fee to attend either of these or any future meetings. And we look forward to seeing the public and hopefully commissioners there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is the announcement of Wild About Wakulla Week. Cynthia Paulson.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Cynthia Paulson, and I'm very excited to be here as a member of the Wild About Wakulla Consortium to announce the 2011 Wild About Wakulla Week, April 1st through the 9th. Wild About Wakulla Week is a celebration of Wakulla County, our heritage, our woods and waters, our wildlands, our wildlife, and the people that live in Wakulla. The festival week begins with the Wakulla Wildlife Festival, which will be on the Friday and Saturday, April 1st and 2nd, and it concludes with the Sopchoppy Worm Grunting Festival, which will be on Saturday, April the 9th. In between these two festivals will be community showcase days highlighting the individual communities in Wakulla. Each day will be filled with events, demonstrations, business open houses, and special promotions. Here is the lineup. Crawfordville Day will be on Tuesday, April the 5th. St. Mark's will be on the Wednesday, April 6th. Panacea, Aclotny Bay Day will be on the Thursday, and the Sopchoppy Day will be on Friday, April the 8th. Interspersed throughout the week will be green-guided tours, such as birding and wildlife, manatee observation tours, scenic boat tours, historical tours, and things of that nature. And for those of us who work during the day, not to worry, there'll be plenty of evening activities. And let me go through them real quickly here. There's an activity almost every night of the week, starting off with the Wakulla Wildlife Festival Art on the Terrace. Then we'll have the Chamber Low Country Boil, the Historical Society Heritage Play, the St. Mark's Waterfronts Partnership and St. Mark's Yacht Club Fish Fry, the St. Mark's Refuge Lighthouse Lantern Tour, Wakulla Welcome Center Green Guide Art Show, and 2 musical performances in Sopchoppy venues. And then the last will be the Worm Grunters Ball, the night of the Worm Grunting Festival. So as you can see, it's a true community event in every sense of the word. And not only is it a celebration for us, the local people who live here, the whole intent is to draw visitors to our county to show them really what a true treasure we have here in Wakulla. I encourage you to visit our new website, which is www.wildaboutwakulla.com. This website was designed and constructed by the students of the Wakulla High School Web Design class under the direction of Brita Arnell, and I can't say enough good things about them. They have done an outstanding job, and we should all be very proud and pleased of the caliber of work that they have performed. Anyhow, I just want to invite you all and everybody here to attend the festivities of Wild About Wakulla Week, because there really is something for everyone. And so let's go out and get wild about Wakulla. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Next is the presentation. I don't see Madeline Carr here, but it's supposed to be Madeline and Herb Donaldson. Or somebody here to talk about celebrating Wakulla County's history and culture? No? Okay, well, we'll move on to your items, Ms. Arts.
Okay, I know they were going to talk about ways that the Historical Society is celebrating our heritage, and one of the things that I thought sounded really exciting and that I'm sorry they aren't here to talk about is the Heritage Play. That'll be at the courthouse, and it's called The Wakulla Story Through the Looking Glass, and I think they're going to be as each year goes on, they'll do a different phase of Wakulla history. But anyway, I know I think it's the weekend of. Is it, Cynthia? Do you know? Is it March? Do you know the dates?
Well, Founders Day is actually March 11th, so this week they're starting their activities, but Through the Looking Glass will be the following weekend, which is the 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Okay. The play that I was just telling you about, the Wakulla Story Through the Looking Glass, will be on March 18th, 19th, and 20th. Okay, thank you. And my 2 announcements were, it was mentioned a few minutes ago that this coming Thursday at 5 o'clock we're having a workshop on the Crawfordville Town Plan. This is something we've been working toward for a long time. We're really getting, I think, to some key points in this process, and so I hope lots of people will come out to that workshop and hear the presentation, and certainly everybody who lives or any business located within the Crawfordville area should attend, but anybody throughout the county. So that's this Thursday at 5 o'clock, the workshop on the Crawfordville Town Plan. Also on Thursday, March 17th at 4 o'clock at the library, the Recycling Task Force is meeting. This is a great group of representatives from lots of different county offices, departments, organizations, citizens that's trying to
help Wakulla County get geared up in terms of recycling even more than we currently have. So Thursday, March 17th, 4 o'clock at the library. Thank you.
Thank you. And the item that I added is Jack Leopard and Mr. Joe Glisson. If y'all would come on, are both of y'all going to speak, or Joe, or you?
I may say something briefly.
Okay.
I don't do my discussion at this time, do I?
Try to keep this as brief as possible. I want to bring you up to date on the ongoing struggle to get the city of Tallahassee spray field permitted in a way that it won't be polluting Wakulla Springs. And as you probably know, in 2006 I filed a lawsuit challenging the permit issuance, and I was joined by Wakulla County Board of Commissioners, then Attorney General Charlie Chris, Wildlife Federation, and we were challenging the lack of reasonable assurances that the spray field was being properly operated. And we ended up in mediation, as you well know, and we came up with a settlement agreement that required the city to get a new permit with a lot of changes, a lot of upgrades, and we were very pleased. We had a ceremony, we got our pictures taken, everybody talked about how great the settlement was. And then they started doing the work, and we were all very happy. It took a year to do this. And then the Tropical Storm Faye caused damage, and they asked for a year's extension on the compliance schedule for upgrading all the construction. And we agreed to that. And during that year, they decided they didn't want to do a lot of the stuff they agreed to. They backed out on some of the important things that we negotiated that they do. So I filed another lawsuit and asked the court to declare the settlement agreement binding and enforceable and force the city to live up to their agreement. I lost that lawsuit just this last month. The judge ruled that the wording in the settlement agreement, even though it was written by 7 or 8 lawyers, was inadequate, and that they were not required to do anything other than ask for a new permit. They did that, and now they're asking for another permit. Jack Leopard and I met with the DEP for months and months and months last year, and met with the city trying to get changes. The city came and made a presentation to you folks. They never were able to give us reasonable assurances that they could achieve the goals of cleaning up their spray field. So the director, Ken Press, Northwest Director of the DEP, met with us. And I met with him for about 6 hours one day, went out on the Wakulla River, and he issued a draft order to DEP in December 22nd, this past, saying that he wants a demonstration of reasonable assurances that the city's spray fields will not cause or contribute to violations of the water quality standards in Wakulla Springs. And in conjunction with issuing a new permit revision, he ordered, in his draft, he recommended that they be required to complete an engineering report that's required by law to document and provide reasonable assurances that what they're doing is not polluting Wakulla Springs, which is an official Florida water, the highest protected water body in the state of Florida. Well, they've issued the new notice of a new permit, and they don't have any of this in there. By the way, Mr. Press was fired on January 3rd. He wrote this on December 22nd, ordering them to do this. His last day was January 3rd, and he called me and he told me he didn't know exactly what was going on, but that he had got this draft order in and he expected it to be incorporated. Well, the notice has come out for the new permit. It's not in there. These changes are not required. And I want to ask you to support asking the DEP to require the city of Tallahassee to go through a major modification process. They've asked for a minor modification or a minor revision. We're willing to go through a major revision because what they're doing is a major change. They're completely backing out on the commitment to create a reuse station at the Lake Bradford facility. In fact, they're planning on they've asked that the construction commitments for the LBR facility be delayed indefinitely. In other words, removed from the permit. It will not be done. They say they can do other things later on that'll clean up the spray field. I have yet to see anything to convince me that, give me reasonable assurances that they're doing this. So we're asking that the county join us in writing to the DEP and ask that they require a major modification process, that they require the engineering report, that City of Tallahassee has never looked at what's going on with Wakulla River. They have never acknowledged that they are polluting the Wakulla River. When we went into mediation, they were able to avoid admitting any liability whatsoever. When we signed the settlement agreement, it was all over. They have never been required to even evaluate what's happening out there. And we're asking that they be required to do that. I don't want to file another lawsuit, but apparently I'm going to have to. And I ask for your support. Jack can add to this, I'm sure. But let me just read you real quick what former Director of Press said. He's asking for reasonable assurances that the spray fields will not violate surface and groundwater quality standards, and that they prepare an engineering report that proves that the nitrogen concentrations and other things are not polluting the spray field. He recommends that if they cannot do that, that they be required to meet the lower standards. Right now, they're only required to meet the drinking water standards of 10 parts per million of nitrogen. And the law actually says they should have to do 3 parts per million, a huge reduction, which they say they're going to be able to meet in several years, but they have failed to give us reasonable assurances. Now, like I said, Director Press no longer with us. He was really good. He was only there 11 months. He met with me and Jack a half dozen times and got fired. So,
Joe, can you tell me or tell us how many gallons per day they're permitted now to spray on their field?
Well, the entire plant has a permitted capacity of 26.5 million. I believe that right now they're putting 21 million a day out there, gallons. And there's a requirement in the statutes for them not to put over 2 inches a week on that field. Unless they have this engineering report that proves they can put more out there and it won't hurt anything. They don't have the engineering report, and yet their permit allows them to put 3.5 inches per week out there. And we have the new hydrological studies that show that stuff is coming straight to Wakulla Springs. We have the studies that show that the biggest contribution is the City of Tallahassee. We're showing that the nutrients are so high that they completely set the place in caused an imbalance in the Wakulla Springs ecosystem. Critters are disappearing. It's just it's a tragedy, and it's an ongoing struggle, and we ask for your support.
I have one question. How many acres are they spraying? How many acres do they spray on?
Roughly 2,000, I believe. Jack, you can answer that.
Let's bring it to a close. We're going to take this up, like we said in the end, and we'll be able to ask a lot more questions. But do you have the answer to that, Jack? Do you know that?
Well, it's about 2,000 acres.
Okay. But they're permitted right now to spray 2 inches a day.
No, actually, the permit has a variance. They're allowed to spray 3.5 inches a day. I mean, a week. The statute says it should be limited to 2 inches unless the engineering report demonstrates that they can put more on there without causing an imbalance with the groundwater or the continuous surface
But they
waters.
haven't done the engineering
They haven't done it.
Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make. Okay.
They've done an engineering report that looked at whether or not they were going to cause ponding by putting so much extra water on there, but they never looked at the effect on Wakulla Springs.
Okay.
And that's what we want them to do.
All right. We'll take it up here later in the meeting. I know, Joe, you may not be able to stay, but I think Jack's going to stick it out. So.
All right, I'll just add one quick sentence.
Yes, sir, please.
Mr. Chairman, at this point in time, because I know there's more, but I'd just like to reiterate the point that Joe mentioned. They're doing less than they had promised to do. They're not going to do the reuse, and they've taken one of the trains, operational plants, out of commission, and they're downgrading another one. So their ability to perform is at question here. Since they are doing less, the law is rather clear, both in statute and in rule, that if the permit is to be revised and the proposer of the permit is proposing to do less than was originally agreed to, then that by itself is sufficient to call this a major modification to the permit. They have submitted a minor modification to the permit, which is generally used for technical purposes only, maybe a time delay as in the case of postponing things for the Hurricane Faye incident, but not to actually propose to do far less than they had agreed to, not just in the settlement agreement, but in the permit itself. So that's at the crux of the issue that we'll be hearing about later on tonight.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. All right. No more awards and presentations. We'll move on to the consent agenda. And we need a motion to approve all those items with number 7 being pulled.
So moved.
Second.
By Mr. Brock, seconded by Mr. Barrett. Any more discussion? All for the motion?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that this is including the corrected minutes. Okay.
Okay. It is.
Okay.
Okay. All for the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we'll hear number 7 now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number 7 is a request for ratification of emergency engagement of Meridian Community Services Group, Inc. on February 17, 2011, and for consideration and approval of a single-source contract with Meridian Community Services Group, Inc. for management and a comprehensive evaluation of the Housing Choice Voucher Section 8 program. I'm going to let Ms. Stevens walk you through the item, just to highlight some issues, as well as Meridian's in the audience if you have any questions after she's done with that.
Okay, Commissioners, back on February 10th, the county employee in charge of the Section 8 program was made unavailable to administer the program, therefore leaving the county without a person knowledgeable and qualified to handle that program. We immediately contacted HUD, which is the federal agency in charge of this grant program, and on February 14th, HUD advised us that we needed to immediately procure the services of an outside vendor to manage the Section 8 program for Wakulla County, and this was in an effort to avoid any interruption in service to our citizens. We continued to consult with the granting agency, and in that process determined that at this time Meridian is the only mobilized and qualified entity available to step in immediately and handle the day-to-day management of the Wakulla County Section 8 program. We met with Meridian back on February 15th. They were able to come down here literally less than 24 hours after we called them, and we worked to immediately engage Meridian due to the urgent need. Both the county administrator and the county attorney reviewed this situation, and again, this was in consulting with our granting agency, and determined that through the county purchasing policy, this met the requirements for an emergency procurement. We're this evening asking the board to ratify this action that we took. Meridian has been providing interim services for our Section 8 program essentially since February 27th, but quite frankly for a bit before that as well, by assisting existing staff and making sure that checks got processed and that people were getting their rent paid, and that there was no glitch or no interruption in service to our citizens. In addition to ratification of this emergency procurement, we're requesting the board review and approve a single source contract with Meridian to provide continuing management services for Section 8, as well as perform a comprehensive evaluation. Back when the board went through RFP 2010-11 for an overall management review of housing, you'll recall that Meridian did respond to that RFP. What they're proposing to do specifically with the Section 8 program is to go in and take a very close look, and if you have questions about the specific scope, I know Meridian would be pleased to answer them, but basically we need to figure out where we are in the program. We know that our Section 8 program has been determined as being troubled by our granting agency. So the granting agency feels like this type of comprehensive evaluation of our program, as well as implementing the steps, the corrective action steps moving forward to put our program in a normal or a non-troubled status. So this evening, basically what the board's looking at is a single source contract with Meridian to perform day-to-day management of the Section 8 program, and also to evaluate and implement corrective actions on our program as a whole.
Move to approve and authorize the chairman to execute the contract with Meridian Community Service Group Incorporated to evaluate and manage the Housing Choice Voucher Section 8 program subject to HUD approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Brock, seconded by Ms. Arts. Any more discussion?
I have a question. This goes until September the 30th, 2012?
The initial term is proposed to be until September 30th of 2012 to coincide with the grant and the budget year. We didn't want to be mid-grant cycle or mid-budget year and have to change vendors. We're also proposing an additional 2 one-year options to extend. The board could always elect to make the contract shorter or longer, but when we initially spoke with our granting agency, they suggested possibly considering a term even longer than this. They want to make sure that whoever's in place and managing the program is actually moving forward, making the needed improvements, and also providing continuity of service by one provider. I think one of the things that I've heard from a lot of our clients in the Section 8 program is we've had such a high turnover in that staff position that there hasn't been a continuity of service there. So again, it is up to the will of the board as to how short of a period of time they wanted to contract for.
So it would be our choice after September 30th of 12 that we could terminate the program and go with someone else?
Yes, you we would ask that you probably make that decision a little bit sooner so we could, make sure that there's not
I do
a
understand it.
lack of
My comment on this is it's really, really bad that somehow we cannot manage a program. We've now dumped 2 or 3 programs to other people, and that's admitting defeat. It's saying that we ourselves are incapable of managing a program, and I don't like that. I'm very glad that we're able to pass this on, if you can be both ways, but it's just bad that we have to do it this way, and we can't manage something ourselves.
Okay, you ladies are with Meridian. We are. Y'all want to say something? I mean, it's fine. You're not required to,
No,
but
that's okay. I just want to introduce myself and these are 2 of the many staff people with Meridian I have with me that are going to be working on this project. Lenore Walker and Raya Ricks. Both of them are very experienced in the Section 8 program. My name is Lisa Blair. I'm the president and CEO of Meridian, and I just want to say, although the circumstances are not great, we do appreciate the opportunity to provide services to you. We have experience in turning Section 8 and other programs like that around, so we're looking forward to hitting the ground running tomorrow to get started. We're going to be working on 2 tracks. We're going to be managing it and keeping your services going at the same time that we're doing the assessment and rebuilding your program, looking at what we're going to have to do a very thorough forensic review of each aspect of the program, but also at the same time be rebuilding your data, your files, and everything to get you back into compliance. So we look forward to it. We'll be available to you. We'll be providing regular status reports and updates as we go through this process to let you know where we stand, where the program stands.
very good. Well, we're excited about having you on board and improving the program so our citizens, those are the people we're concerned about getting the service they need. So anyway,
the most vulnerable of them, yes. I mean, that they're the most vulnerable of your citizens, so we want to ensure that they continue to get what they need. So thank you very much.
I wanted to, this was done as a sole source purchase, correct? Basically, emergency. I want to just assure everyone it complied with all state purchasing guidelines and county purchasing guidelines. Of course, a rhetorical question.
That's correct, and that's why we're asking. We pulled it off consent to get your approval for that process. It was kind of a twofold was emergency procurement for the time that we needed them to come in immediately, and then the sole source is the contract that we're asking you to approve now. I mean, we had originally planned to RFP it out, but the circumstances as they were required us to take this actions.
Jerry, along the lines of basically it's privatizing to me, think of the wastewater plant. Yes, we could run it, but finding an operator to run it, sometimes those things are left better to people with the skill set. I understand what you're saying.
I do understand that. I've been on both sides of Section 8. I've been on both sides. I'm on one side now. I've been on the other side. So I do understand that, and it's important that the vendors get paid in a timely manner. And
I would agree with that.
Heather?
Commissioner Merritt, if you all approve this tonight, we'll actually be submitting it to HUD for their review, and they have a set of federal rules about these types of procurements that they will be reviewing to make sure that it complies with that.
I just wanted to get that out there.
And
above bar.
Are you ladies, now y'all going to be the folks that people engage when they come in?
Yeah.
Are y'all familiar with Wakulla? Or okay. I mean, you're going to be the faces that represent that program, and if y'all need anything that the county can help do, you need to tell us early on so that we can resolve any issues. Okay?
Well, and HUD, just so you know, they've been working really closely with us. They're familiar with our work. They're familiar with our contract, and they really are driving this push toward this at this point in time. So,
well, good. Any way we can help make we want to be a seamless evolution and get right back to work. So, good. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, they'll also be in the annex where the current services are being provided. They'll have regular office hours and, contact information so that if anyone is out there and is concerned about this service, they can be assured that it's going to continue, and it's going to be continued in Wakulla County in a familiar environment.
Is this the remainder also of that lease payment we spoke about the other night? So between the Tallahassee...
Third of it.
Huh? It's another third, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Actually, instead of subletting it, the money to pay it has been backed out, and it'll be made available to them.
Yeah, I had asked that you structure it that way instead of putting it into our contract, that you take that out of the admin fee and then just pay us directly for the services.
As long as it's paid for.
It's paid for.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All for the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is general business.
Thank you, Commissioners. First item on general business is a tabled item regarding the bid for the sanitary force main, award to contract Allen's Excavation, accept and award the proposal from Utah Utilities for technical services during construction, and authorize the chairman to execute documents.
Mr. Chairman, I make another motion again that we table this item or postpone it indefinitely until we can figure out exactly what we need to service Talcon. I don't think we need this. I don't think we can pay for it.
Okay, we have a motion to table. Is there a second? Okay, lack of a second, I'll entertain a motion to. I want to get it on the floor so we can talk about it, because we need to resolve it, because there's a bigger issue here. We got a clock running that we've got to provide sewer to Talcon, and anyway, I'll entertain a motion to approve it. We need to revise it, though.
Second for discussion.
Well, I can't make the motion, but you can make the motion.
I thought you were.
I'm just encouraging someone to make that motion.
Well, I guess somebody's got to do something. I'll make a motion to approve it then.
Okay.
Second for discussion.
What's our motion?
Motion is to approve as is,
Okay.
and let's talk about it and see if we can't resolve the issue. So, well, I'll discuss then, and we can talk about it. The issue to me is that the immediate issue is we need to get a workshop somewhere along here where we can give specific direction to Tim and the staff on how to go, what we want to do, because we got to decide whether we want to have the political will to run sewer into Wakulla Gardens. There's a lot of issues to talk about. Do we want to put an assessment on those folks that their mandatory hookups are $38.50 plus the monthly fee, That's hard to swallow. I'd have a hard time doing that, but that's an option. The other is, I think, more immediate is that we need to move while we have this money that's in place for us, this low, is it SRF money?
Yes.
Okay. And the clock's running. We had 2 years, and now we're down to a year to provide sewer for Talcott. Now, my idea, and I've talked to the engineers, and the most economical way to do it is to run a line, extend the line that's at the golf course now, and it just extend it that distance down to.
That's perfectly fine.
Well, and if we can just get that done tonight, and it's not just for Talcott. If we go there and we size the line correctly, and I want to hear from the engineers to tell us how to do that. If we size the line correctly, then let's have this workshop at a later date. I'm suggesting maybe in April. Is to have let's sit down and talk about where do we want to go. Maybe we do want to do the assessment and have them charge them $38.50. We talked today. I talked to Heather and Tim about the idea of not requiring them to pay the $38.50 up front, but to finance that over a period of time, 7 years or 10 years or whatever it takes to make it easy on the people. We can do it, an assessment on their tax bill. But that's a hard decision that we got to make as a board. But right now, if we can just somebody can modify this motion to say let's extend the line from the golf course to pick up Talquin at the Spring Creek intersection. That's not going to cost much, Randy. I know. I think we're going to have some. I'm going to ask you to come up if you would and give us some numbers, if you can, about what that may cost.
Let me explain why I even made the motion. I first made the motion to table it because the bid is to build a brand new 12-inch force all the way from the plant.
Right.
We don't need that, and if we can do a change order with Allen's excavation, great.
And that's what I'm told we can do.
That's great. Okay. But I didn't want, because we don't have a way to pay $2.2 million back if we don't force Wakulla Gardens hook on. That's the bottom line. And this previous board decided they didn't want to do that. Now, I'm still, that was my understanding. I may be mistaken, but that's my position anyway. So
and before we have them speak,
yes, sir.
Well, it's the last board. Every conversation we've had, there's never been a statement. The first person to say they didn't want to make Wakulla Gardens pay that I've heard up here to connect to the sewer was Commissioner Moore. Up to this point, we've been trying to figure out ways to do it. We've been looking for grants. We've been looking for funding, but we haven't ruled out. We've never ruled out connecting up all of Wakulla Gardens. Right now, the situation in there is much less than ideal, and we need to put sewer in there just to make it sanitary, really. You have too many people on too many septic tanks and on too many wells.
And that's why, folks, we need to have a workshop so we can discuss this in greater detail. Because in my mind, to proceed to sewer, I think we ought to have stormwater. So there's a lot of decisions to be made about that area.
Well, and that was a conversation when I talked to Heather today. I said the same thing. We need to have a workshop. We need to figure out what we need to do in Wakulla Gardens. We need to figure out how much it's going to cost and how to pay for it, and we need to move forward with making it happen. That being said, and I want to toss it before I yield because I see fingers. Commissioner Merritt, I just want to check and see if we're moving forward. As we're trying to make this decision, because we don't know what we're going to do, because we don't know the full blow, and we're going to have a workshop. But I'm hoping that in the near future, one way or the other, we're going to sewer Wakulla Gardens. So I want you, as we're making this decision tonight, to bear that thought, at least where I'm coming from.
I understand. I understand that's where you're coming from. Right. My last thing on this was that the board was presented with an ordinance, a new comprehensive sewer fee ordinance that included charging vacant lots, a sewer availability charge, which I'm adamantly against. These are vacant subdivisions. Anyway, the board didn't approve that. That was the funding mechanism, I understand, or at least a component of it to pay for this. If we had $500 million in reserve, I'd be right with you if this was a grant. My worry is we're going to borrow. What's we're doing? We're borrowing. We got to borrow $5 million for the plant. We got to borrow $2 million for a line. We're borrowing $7 million, and we don't have a viable plan to pay it back.
And I
agree.
And that's where,
Major issue.
and that's why we need to get in a workshop and figure out, we gotta scale everything back. Let's get what we really need. The days of needing the Cadillac are over, now we need to get that Volkswagen Beetle, and that's what we're gonna have to discuss, so.
Yeah, I think it was actually 2 boards ago that set the direction for this whole project. And Utah's been moving forward with that plan. But there have been a lot of changes in the economy, and now we've got new boards, and I agree completely that we need to have a workshop and make a decision about where we want to go, what we want to accomplish, and over what kind of a time frame too. I guess one of the reasons that I seconded this motion is because I think we need to move kind of quickly to get Talquin online, and it's my understanding that we could do this as a phased effort, maybe reducing the amount of the loan to get a smaller line in and then put in a dry line to give us the future capacity when or if we want it. So rather than just killing this, I'd like to maybe see if the motion could be amended to direct the Utah and our public works people to try and propose a staged project and look at what that would cost and how we could modify the loan to accomplish that, at the same time that we're trying to look at the big picture of what we want to accomplish.
That was exactly my intention of this. And I believe we're probably going to have to run a 6-inch from the high school. I think it's 4 to the golf course. And I think probably Talquin's access charge will pay for most of this without us having to borrow money.
And we got some legislative money setting aside.
Please understand, my whole deal was not paying for a 12-inch line, millions, you know what I mean? Let's pay for what we need.
Jerry, sorry.
I know, but let me get Lane to tell us. I mean, this is the engineer of record that's worked this project, and Lane, you know where we all are at now, and what I've asked you to consider.
Yes, sir.
Can you lead us through that process to get Talquin on now, and see if that'll answer our questions?
There are several options, as with anything. There are several options of what do we need to do for Talquin, and what would be prudent to do at this point while we're building. I think that Commissioner Arts mentioned potentially putting a dry line, put the line that we need now, but while we're out there building, go ahead and make provision, at least in the section that we're working on, for future capacity. Size the lift station initially with pumps that are what we need now, but provision that we can upsize those pumps. We have wet well capacity. In the future, everything will be in place. The question, the options that come in is how much do we want to undertake now? Do we just? I've been running through the numbers, and the 4-inch line from Wildwood to the high school. In the future, that could be a big constriction. Do we want to go ahead and extend to the high school and run a 6-inch? So that way, there are some options.
I'm not sure. I'm telling y'all, we went back and backfitted that line. It was put in, and they came back and upsized that line.
Right.
Are y'all sure it's not a 6-inch line that's there now?
I am 99.99% sure. Walt put it in, and he was in the audience.
Well, let me mention this because there was a mention of timing. There is a critical element to this. We need to, as the state legislature's coming tomorrow, they're starting tomorrow, they're looking at all the funding that's out there, all the money that's been encumbered. Well, we have a $2.8 million loan agreement with them for this project. We need to, as quickly as possible, coordinate with DEP. If we're not going to use the whole $2.8 million, we need to basically declare that.
We're not going to. I mean, that's what I'm hearing the board say.
The agreement that we have technically expired January 15th, I believe. They're holding it, but we need to like I say, as quickly as possible, say, we're going to need 750,000, or we're going to need 600,000, or we're not going to need any. But we need to extend the agreement and redefine the terms of
Tell
the
us,
agreement.
Lane, what I asked to start off. What will it cost to go from the golf course down to Talcott connection? And give us the options. You said there's several options.
Right, from the golf course, what I did is I took that length and the unit prices that we have established from the bid, and to run from the golf course to the corner and include the lift station.
4-inch?
6 inch.
6 inch.
Is $375,000.
And that did include the lift station?
It does include the lift.
It's everything.
That's the lift station and the 6-inch line. It's about 12,000 feet between those points.
And that's a repump station too, right?
Wow.
Repump's Talcott, I mean, the new one we're talking about building.
Yes.
Is it a duplex, or is it
it's a
set,
duplex.
is it got 2 wet wells or 1, or? I mean, is it size big enough where we can use it?
Right now, it's size big enough. I think that we would need to make provision. We don't need that much wet well now, but we will. The potential is there that we will. I think it's prudent to go ahead and build that.
I agree.
And we've been doing this for years,
and we can
by the
make
way.
provision. We can put 2 8-foot wet wells and not use one
Right.
at this time, but it will be there for use when we need it.
It goes back to what you were saying.
And I'm all for planning ahead, absolutely.
And I think running the line, I think we need to, one of the options is I think we need to consider, do we want to, while we have everything exposed, while we have the trench open, do we want to go ahead and lay a parallel line? Run a 6 that will be hot now, that we'll be using to convey talcum water or sewer, and have a 6 already in the ground that at least minimizes the work in the future that we'll have to do when the sewer, when the demand is there.
I'm with that 100.
I ask a question on that is, was 2 6s seem to be better than 1 8? Or
I have to remember the math. 2
5D
6s,
squared
2
over
6s
4.
are better than an 8, but 2 6s do not equal a 12.
No.
2 6s are more than an 8.
I mean, I'd just
but not
soon
a
throw
12.
another 8 dry line or 10 dry line and grant to serve Wakulla Gardens in the future.
That's that's what my big question is as I'm going to keep reiterating. By hook or by crook, we need to connect Wakulla Gardens in the very near future.
And I think we all do, Alan.
Yeah, so I don't want to see us.
I don't necessarily.
Well,
We
Commissioner,
can do
I
a
think-
cluster
I
system
think we could do
out there.
cluster systems,
And also reduce the density.
which I think there's a way, at a workshop, I'll talk about a way to maybe reduce density. I don't know that cluster systems will succeed at that, but maybe. I'm open to the discussion. My concern is I just don't want us to waste money. I don't want to, if we're going to move forward, if we decide that we're going to sewer Wakulla Gardens this coming summer, this coming winter, I don't want to see us have to reopen the ground and pay for everything another $300,000 to run another pipe.
Okay, let's try to rein it in here. If we can just give them direction tonight, sounds like we're all in step here to ask Lane, you and Cleve to work with Tim, because it sounds like there's a different number if we put 2 6-inch lines. This 6-inch line for $375,000 is different than if we have a dry 6-inch line also.
Just the cost of the pipe.
Basically, the cost of the pipe. I mean, the work to get it in the ground is there.
Okay.
And may I also add, just for your consideration, I have spoken with DEP today about this, because we've already gone through procurement of the bids. We have bid prices. Would they be agreeable if we decide to reduce the scope? If we could do that as a negotiation with the low bid contractor, and they are agreeable to that, especially as long as we're using the competitively bid unit prices that we have. So we'll need to work very closely to make sure that we stay with the bid prices that we have. If we have need to modify those prices, then we're going to have to coordinate that and get the blessing of DEP before we can move forward.
You talking about using Allen's estimating prices?
Yes, sir.
I spoke to Heather today. Heather, you correct me if I'm wrong. I was told that we can do that because it was, unit prices. Is it unit prices that we were given in the bid?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so then we should be able to modify it and be able to still use them, because it's not fair. I think it's very unfair if we go back out to bid when these folks had the low bid on the job to start with.
I agree.
And let's
Lane, were
continue
you
forward
saying
with
that
them.
DEP was okay with that?
They're fine. We have a lot of, you've seen, we have a lot of different bid items, and we have a lot of unit prices. As long as we're using
Yeah.
items that we have an established price for, they are fine with us modifying the scope of the project. It's if we have items that were not competitively bid, then we'll need to coordinate closely with them.
And you got 6, 8, 10, and 12 pipe, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That's good.
Alan, will you have to, I assume you will, modify the permit from DEP if we change the line size, right? That shouldn't be a huge modification.
Right, we will have to coordinate with DEP on our permit.
Alan?
Commissioner Mayor, you mentioned that we might want a 6-inch pipe now to connect with Talquin and a larger pipe for as a second pipe. What size pipe, if it costs just a little more to do a 10-inch dry pipe, I don't know, I'm not an engineer. My goal in all of this is to make it as cheap as possible now and in the future. What is your recommendation?
Well, it's
What
not
can we-
quite that simple.
Right.
Because you have to have a certain velocity in the pipe in order for it not to plug up. So, you could say, well, just put the 12 in now, and we'll just run Talcum through it. Well, it won't work because, and Alan, you can verify what I'm saying, the stuff doesn't move, I'm not going to use the real word, but the stuff doesn't move fast enough to keep the line flushed out. So
We can't just pipe it full of plain water or
no,
potable
we
water?
overload our sewer plant.
But you can
3
flush
days.
it occasionally.
Yes, but DEP is, probably is not going to want us to run a 12-inch line.
Well, let's-
If we could just do enough to serve Talcum and have the engineers look at what other line would need to be put in with it as a dry line, but at what capacity is the big question of the evening.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm fine with that. I think that's the way we ought to go. Anyway, Heather?
Lane, did Allen's Excavation hold their bid prices for us?
I've spoken with them today. They said that they would be agreeable to negotiating a reduced scope.
How
At the
quickly do we
prices
need
that
to?
they bid.
I mean, if we're not going to resolve the issue tonight, y'all will have to go back and work on this. Do we need to get back quicker together, or is the next meeting soon enough? Is our next meeting going to be soon enough for Allen's to hold the?
Can't we just...
Well, I thought are we going to award the bid to Allen's?
If that's what we need to do tonight, tell me. That's what we'll
Negotiate
get done.
based on what DEP says as the number of lines we can or cannot have, and then bring a contract for the chairman to decide based on that. Do we need to bring it back?
Fine,
I
if
don't
y'all
know
wanna
if we
do
need to
that
bring it
way,
back
that's
to the
fine.
board.
As long, you understand my issues, not going from the plant, all, wherever we need to tie in, and I'd go ahead and throw this in there, whatever the largest line we can put in now and still achieve flushing velocity, or either, what is it, 4 feet, but what, you know what I mean? If an 8-inch will work and meet engineering standards, let's go ahead and do it 8 if we have to go all the way to the high school. If not, do whatever we got to do from Wildwood to the lift station, then let's look at putting another pipe in the trench.
Well, if it's the board's direction, we'll work with ESG on coming up with that, the scenario or the options even. Do we just run to Wildwood, or do we run to the high
I'll
school?
exceed amount tonight then. We need, if you give us this direction, we need to know not to exceed amount, right? I don't want you to give me the authority to sign and I go sign $500,000 and y'all say, why'd you do that?
Was it going to come back before us, or no?
No.
I guess can we award the contract tonight and then just come back with a
The change order?
change order, or, I'm not really sure.
Will the next meeting be soon enough? That's back to that question. Well, if we do that, bringing the change order back at the next meeting be soon enough?
I'm gonna defer to the contractor on that
Sir.
question.
If you'll tell us who you are and
David Ward, Allen's Excavation. The biggest issue that we have would be going ahead and trying to get something locked up. Whether you run, 12,000 feet or 30,000 feet, the prices of PVC and diesel and everything are going up every day. And so, I mean, we're receptive to negotiate and get paid for what we put in the ground. I've told Lane that earlier today, and that's fine with us, and we'll use those unit prices, and we'll honor them until we complete whatever portion of the job you want us to complete.
Okay.
But it would be nice to walk away knowing that I can get on the phone tomorrow and lock up PVC, pump,
I agree with you.
you know,
I
concrete
agree.
prices, because they're putting a lot of pressure on me. Because if this job was bid today, it would probably be more money, you know.
Let me ask you this, it's just a thought. Of course, if the county purchased the pipe, we don't pay sales tax on it, so we get an immediate 7% savings right then. I mean, I've already had Bart call me about the pipe.
And we
That's
don't
just,
have any problem with that.
that covers you, you know, you're not, because PVC does fluctuate like gasoline prices almost. And diesel, I think, has a standard DOT index for that you can index that too. I don't know how much diesel you're using.
We can index it, of course, your contract doesn't
Right.
offer to be indexed to it, but there's a lot of sales tax advantage, not only the PVC pipe, but the pump,
The wet well,
the air release
yeah.
valve.
Why don't we do that?
We could
It
save
don't wanna
15,
go that
20,000
way.
bucks.
We've done it with many utilities. We did it with several people. We did it with, we were spending $5.5 million down there, and they took advantage of the sales tax.
I mean, I think if we just had a takeoff from you guys, you know, I don't know how quickly we could lock it in, but with gas prices rising, of course, we need to lock in PVC prices as soon as possible. But we can save $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 by us buying the materials. I know it's going to be more legwork for our purchasing department, but
I mean, that shouldn't be a problem.
We don't. How do we?
Okay.
It works smooth, really. We've done it a lot. It works smooth. We tell whoever what we need to buy, and it'll work smooth.
Okay.
I mean, the county doesn't have an open bid for just buying pipe, though, is the problem. We've never procured a price. We couldn't, I don't know how we would do that.
is that something under state contract? I don't know. Could we?
I don't know.
Not to my knowledge, is it under state contract. The only thing I can tell you tonight is that
Please,
Wakulla County can buy the pipe
Please
for the
do
same
it.
price that I can buy the pipe.
We haven't procured that, though, y'all. I mean, we haven't complied with purchasing. DEP could raise a fuss. I mean, in the future, we can certainly look at direct purchasing.
Oh, that's a good point also, and his unit price per foot probably was labor and materials.
Mm-hmm.
So if we pull materials out, in this case, it may cause a problem, I understand, but maybe just to do it in the future.
All right, so,
Can we modify my motion?
hold on, sir. I don't, who are you?
Material supplier, like to comment on the...
Did you put a card in to speak? Okay, but hold on just a minute, we'll get you. Well, let's back up. Now, Lynn, you made the motion. We need to clarify now.
Actually, I made the motion.
Well, Randy had a motion and I had a second, and then I proposed a different wording, but I don't,
All right, Randy, so let's make a
All
start.
right, just correct me as I go along. I'm going to modify my motion to have Cleve and I guess
Lane.
Utah Utilities award the contract and then come back with a change order to change the line to service whatever the biggest size line we can put in to service Talcott, if we can't use the line from the country club back to the high school. I know that's clear as mud, but engineers understand it perfect.
Okay, and is that second fine then? Okay, sir, come on in, if you can, if you're going to I'm not sure what you're going to clarify for us, but,
And I'll have another question for Lane.
okay, we'll get there.
My name is Bart Bryant. I'm with HD Supply Waterworks in Tallahassee, material quoters on this project. We are involved, of course, nationwide, many projects where a contractor bid is issued and a decision is made after the bid, either even after the award or before the award, for the municipality to purchase the product at a sales tax savings with modifications or without. Basically, the board assigns the contractor as a purchasing agent for the city. You could even have the invoices go direct to the contractor with a copy to the municipality so that they approve it and it's simply processed through. It's done nation and statewide.
Okay.
But how do we know how much I mean, I don't know how we know how much installation is then. Maybe there's something.
David,
Okay.
I'll be back to you.
let's
We won't
just
we won't
work it
chew
like
that
it is
piece
right
of
now.
pie off yet.
Okay, Lane, I
Thank you for
think
that
Mr. Brock had a
clarification.
question for you.
Well, and the last question, and I know Commissioner Merritt's also said this is not a concern right now. I know there's been I know one of the other things we were discussing was trying to take some of the pressure off of Hickory Park's lift station. My understanding is it's running longer during the day than it should in its current capacity.
I want to be sure when I said it. All I'm saying is the line from the courthouse down there is fine. Definitely, we need to do some improvements to Hickory Park, but we don't need new lift stations. I mean,
Let's do that on this workshop we're going to do.
Okay, I'm just,
We're going to talk all that out
Okay.
in the workshop. I hear you.
okay.
But has nothing to do with what we're doing right
Well,
now.
this was supposed to take pressure off of Hickory Park, and by not doing it, we're leaving all the pressure still on Hickory Park. That's the only reason I bring it up again.
Okay. I got you. Let's get this resolved right now, and then we'll talk about that one. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Bobby Porter. Thank you, Lane. We're going to hear some.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is it Robbie Porter? I'm sorry.
I didn't have one.
Okay.
It's part of my motion.
You're a wise gentleman not to try to talk us out of
Do
it.
one later.
David Ward, you don't need to say any more. Okay.
Commissioner Merritt just said he doesn't have a workshop in his motion.
No, I'm going to take that up separate.
Okay.
Let's resolve.
The dry line? I'm sorry. I'm trying to...
Randy's motion didn't include a second dry line pipe in there. Do you want to make that part of it so that it sizes it up to a 12-inch
Yes, I want
capacity?
them to bring back some options in the change order. You know, if we add up dry line 6, dry line 8, whatever, then we can look at it and know what it's going to cost.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be that difficult to put, some numbers in there, because you have the unit prices anyway. All it's just a link.
Okay. So by the next board meeting, then we should have all this ready before us. I suggest all the commissioners talk to these guys as we go along here, so we're all up to speed on it, so that we can.
Is the contractor going to be able to hold the prices till the next board meeting? Because he's not going to know how much to order, right?
Shaking his head up and down.
Yes?
We will honor the practice. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. if
That's
we
2
leave
weeks.
here with the fact that, we're going to get some.
Let her know. We're going to look at what it costs, add different size dry lines.
Okay, and then we'll bring back
Maybe.
what we actually need for the pipe at the next meeting. Okay.
Okay?
I'm good with that.
All right. No more discussion. Not hearing any. Okay. All for the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, we need to get a motion on the floor to get this workshop so we can talk out what.
Move to have a workshop to discuss infrastructure in Wakulla Gardens and sewer connections with Hickory Park.
I second that.
Motion made to have a workshop, seconded by,
Could we make it broader to include our wastewater treatment plant too, the
Yeah.
capacity of
Okay.
that? And
yes, we need to.
I move to have a workshop on infrastructure,
No, just sewer.
Sewer.
Sewer infrastructure.
sewer and infrastructure in
Sewer
Wakulla Gardens. Because
plan.
I want to talk about, at this workshop, I'd like to discuss sewer, stormwater, the other issues we have in Wakulla Gardens, because it's not just sewer. Sewer, stormwater, roads.
We need to do this sooner than later, so
I second that.
what date do we,
I would actually suggest maybe moving this into the April slot and moving your April workshop back to May.
We can do both in one night.
You can do them both?
Mine's not going to take long.
What's your April
both in
workshop?
April? April 7th, is that what we're saying?
6 p.m., that's still
Five.
available, Jessica, 6 p.m.?
Let's start it. What,
We have the other one at 5.
okay, so,
I mean, you want to tie them in together? Or
We've ran into this before. We set a certain one. Can't we just say when this one's done, we start the next one instead of having to wait till 6?
approximately 6 o'clock.
Right.
How about that? Okay. That sound good?
Let's change the comp plan for sewer.
Yeah, that sounds
your
good.
motion? April, then we're going to move the
Yeah,
other
it-
workshop back to May.
No, I think
No, he wants
Oh,
to
that's
do
why
them
both
both.
of them on April.
Your workshop might take longer than you think.
And I think
That's
this
it.
workshop is going to take longer than we think. But anyway, okay.
I do think there'll be a lot of public interest in the Wakulla Gardens and a lot of public interest in the changing the comp plan.
We can,
I think
Takes
we can
2
do
hours.
another
Takes 2
night in the month.
Okay.
If we need, if this, this is pressing and we need to do it.
Workshop.
Why don't we have another night in April?
I mean, I'll move mine back to May. That's fine with me. Mine's no rush, no pressing issue whatsoever. If that makes y'all happier, that's fine with me.
That's fine.
All right.
All right, we'll do that. Got that, Jessica?
I consider that a friendly amendment.
All right. Any more discussion?
Very friendly.
All for the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item 10. Ms. Stevens.
Thank you.
Okay, item 10 this evening is a request for board authorization to participate in the Florida Housing Finance Corporation's Hardest Hit program. This is a new program being rolled out by Florida Housing Finance Corporation. The U.S. Treasury, the feds, have created the Housing Finance Agency Innovation Fund for the hardest hit housing markets. And this is federal money that's being filtered down to states that have had a lot of excessive housing market depreciation and foreclosures. This is a foreclosure prevention program.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to authorize staff to participate in the Florida Hardest Hit program and authorize the chairman to execute all program documents associated with the program.
Authorize staff to assist program-eligible residents within the incorporated and unincorporated areas of Wakulla County.
Okay. That's why we need to read them, because sometimes there's more than one option, and you can just say option 1 and 2, and then I'll read them, but
Can I do that?
you sure can. But that's the motion, and we have a second.
Second.
Any citizens to be heard for this? No? Any discussion? All for the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And Cleve is not here tonight, but you're going to talk about 5 and 6?
Yes, both 5 and 6 are just, as you know, we issued some bids for some of our annual contracts. Number 5 is, or tab 5 or agenda item 5 is request board direction on concrete forming and pouring. We received 2 bids, one from Michael Turner Construction for $7,690 and another one from Ben Withers for $20,680.
Motion to approve the lower bidder?
Second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Merritt, seconded by Ms. Arts, to accept Michael Turner Construction. Any citizens? Any discussion? All for the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, item 6, I'd like to make a motion that we re-advertise the bid. We only had one bidder, Martin Marietta, for whatever reason, who we bought base from for years and years and years. Apparently they had a person out of the office or something like that. And, it's magnitudes of order more expensive from the one bid we got. So my motion is to re-advertise this item.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second.
And reject all bids?
And reject all bids.
Correct.
Any more discussion? All for the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's general business. Thank you.
Okay. We had no commissioner agenda items, did we? Okay.
Is it citizens be heard?
Well, at 6:30 it is, but we can start early if you'd like.
And I notice our speakers for the Wakulla history are here.
I'm sorry.
Under citizens be heard? Okay.
That's fine. Okay, let's go ahead and do,
Do you want to take a 5-minute, well, I'll get a break.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, it's not on here for some.
It only help. You need to wait, Heather, until 6:30?
No, I was just trying to find it.
Just thirsty. Howard Kessler.
Mr. Chairman, honorable commissioners, Howard Kessler, Eva Bay Road. Previously, I came before this board and asked the board to announce to the public at each of its meetings what money the board voted to spend and from which account it came. One commissioner made a statement that this was going to be done, but he didn't say that it would be made public, and it hasn't. Another commissioner has said that the board is not spending from the general fund, but doesn't say that after each vote. Because the accounting was not being announced at board meetings, I again made a second request, and this time I did get a response. Part of it read, quote, "In response to your inquiry, it appears that you are asking for the board to supply some sort of monthly budget status report. At this time, we have not received board direction to include such a report at each meeting. Again, I come before this board and ask the board to direct the administration to provide their report at each board meeting. Most of us belong to a club or a civic group, and many of those groups have multiple accounts, and they don't have an office of budget and management. But in each of those club meetings, groups and organizations, they provide an accounting to their members, informing them of what was spent and what was collected in each of the various accounts and funds. This is a Treasury's report. My request is for a running total, a public statement advising the citizens and the board of how much money is being spent solely as a result of the board's votes and from which account it was or is going to be paid from. I think this is a reasonable request. I would think that the board would like to know this. The citizens deserve to hear an accounting, even in the minimalist form that I am requesting. With computers and with the Office of Management and Budget in attendance at each of our board meetings, this would seem a simple thing to do. And again, putting my request in writing. Thank you.
Okay. Gail Hickman.
Gail Hickman, Hickory Wood Drive. This is on a lighter note. I would like to respond to Gwen Haskins' comments in the Area Times regarding the library, and also to the commissioners who justified removing this impact fee with the thought that someday they will restore it, and once again the library will be all right. Our public library has become a casualty of the 4-to-1 vote to do away with the county's impact fees. Somehow, in all the rhetoric between the developers and builders, the impassioned plea by Commissioner Arts, and also the $120,000 survey adopted just over a year ago, the library lost the fight. I ask myself, why do I care? And I remind myself, you can't fight City Hall, so they say. But alas for me, I do care. The library serves everyone equally. The library has no personal agenda. Agendas in our day and age are a thing to be reckoned with, especially in Wakulla County. The library provides computer time for those that cannot afford it in any other way, and those computers are always busy. They provide computer classes free. The library provides an introduction to socialization to preschool-age children through their children's programs and story hours. The library provides a world of knowledge and entertainment for adults through their books, tapes, magazines, and research volumes. What is not on their shelves can be borrowed through interlibrary loan with a simple request. The library provides a meeting place for many diverse organizations. The library exists for the people. The library needs extra personnel so it can remain open on the weekends, since it's the only chance many folks have to get there. The county's library budget is so paltry, they don't even supply the library with one book. It's all donated by caring citizens called Friends, who are scrambling to cover the bases that should be the county's obligation. To condone your vote by saying we can look at reinstating impact fees for the library at a later date is a rationalization. I challenge you, commissioners, if you mean what you say, and you want to reinstate the impact fees for the library, do so now. Create an item for discussion at our next meeting. Otherwise, shame on you. Your agendas are showing.
Charles Hickman.
What's an MP4 file?
I don't know.
MP3?
Go ahead, Mr. Hickman, you're going to have to do it without the PowerPoint.
Well, sir, I can.
Okay.
Can I be put to a later date and spot in the program?
No, sir, when we're done here, we're going to be done with citizens to be heard. Madeline Carr and Herb Donaldson is,
I guess I'm going to have to try and go ahead without it.
okay, never mind, sorry, I apologize.
At the last BoCC meeting, Mr. Moore made some very, very rash statements concerning the impact fees. Commissioners are expected to be accurate in their statements. And at this point in time, I would have asked for the clip to be shown, but these statements were not only false and misleading, but not one of you commissioners questioned the false statements that you know, because you know about impact fees. The impact fees you've all voted on, some of you more than once. How can good decisions be made when your facts are wrong? When Commissioner Moore said the publics would have to pay $2,800,000 with our current impact fee schedule, not one of you challenged his statement, not even a professional contractor. With the current impact fee schedule, public would not have to pay $2.8 million. A 70,000 square foot Publix would have to pay $260,000. That is 10 times less than the amount he stated. So as the commissioner said, $2.8 million is reason enough not to come to this great place. If profitable, why would $260,000 stop them? I guess it's expected the taxpayer will pick up the cost of necessary infrastructure. Publix will come to our county when Publix's own research says it's time to come and profitable for them. I'm sorry you didn't have a chance to see and review the tape.
Okay. Madeline Carr and Herb Donaldson, we're going to let you guys go now since you didn't get to go under the awards and presentations.
We do apologize.
By the way, Ms. Arts did speak on your behalf.
I understand, but I just wanted to say that I haven't been here in such a long time. I thought the meeting still started at 6.
No, it's been several years.
While she's passing those out, I'd like to say thank you very much for allowing us to be here. My name is Herb Donaldson. I am from 232 Lower Bridge Road. In an effort to save some time for you all, I'll just go ahead and read through what I have, if that's okay. Panfilo de Navarez, Hernando de Soto, William Augustus Bowles, Andrew Jackson, the Prophet Francis, John, Nathaniel, George, and Weld Hamlin, Daniel Ladd, the towns of Magnolia, Port Leon, Newport, and the St. Mark's Lighthouse. If not for these people, if not for these places, the Wakulla County we've come to know would not exist. I am Herb Donaldson, Artistic Director of the Palavitry Theater. Palavitry is currently working in association with the Wakulla County Historical Society to bring the stories of these people, places, and event to life in a stage read presentation of Wakulla's story through a looking glass. The small minimal production celebrates the history of our county, how it came to be, how it grew, and how its future can become even brighter. Showtimes for Wakulla's story through a looking glass are Friday and Saturday, March 18th and 19th at 7 p.m., with a Sunday matinee, March 20th at 3 p.m. Tickets are $10 for general public, $5 for students and seniors, $7.50 for Historical Society members. The goal of this production is to introduce you all to what we hope will be an annual event. Every year, a different story that explores Wakulla County's past. Every year, a new audience, a broader audience, that not only sees the show, but participates in the tours, panel discussions, and other events throughout the county. This will also be a tremendous kickoff for other events such as Wild About Wakulla Week, and may generate more tourism throughout March and April. But this cannot be done without your support. You can help in the following ways. One, tell people about the show, hand them a flyer, which I think you all received up there, or forward them a copy of our email promo. Two, come see the show, experience it for yourself. I've no doubt that once you've witnessed it, what we're doing, you will be as on board with this program as we are. And three, tell your stories. If you were born here, raised here, or have lived here for a few years, or even if you are somewhat of a transplant to Wakulla County, your stories are what future generations will use to tell who we were. Wakulla County Historical Society wants to help you do that. We are currently preparing our second heritage book of Wakulla County. Consider it our own history book that highlights the various people, communities, and events of our county. If you have a story to tell and want to see it in the book, or if you want to order tickets for the show, or if you simply want to be a part of it, please take our phone number down. It's 850-926-1110. Again, thank you for this opportunity to speak, and please purchase your tickets. And now, Madeline Carr.
Very quickly, don't go away, Herb. We're very excited. I went through the reading the other day. We want to invite every one of you and your families to the dress rehearsal on Wednesday, March 17th, and I will Thursday, March 17th, and I'll send you all an email to that effect, and it's right over here in the old courthouse, of course, okay? And again, we apologize for missing the deadline.
That's okay. Thank you. Thank y'all. Okay. Now we're back to the county attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one item tonight. It's an informational update and a request for some board direction regarding the preliminary revisions to the City of Tallahassee's permits for T.P. Smith and Lake Bradford. You've heard a lot about this issue. Real quickly, where we are in the process at this moment is we've gotten a preliminary draft permit from DEP. They are looking for comments from interested parties, of which Wakulla is one. They've extended the deadline until next Monday if we want to provide them with any preliminary comments. Providing comments here is not an official challenge to the permit. If you don't have to provide comments, you could still challenge the permit and vice versa. It doesn't limit you in any way. So what we're looking for direction tonight is whether, A, you want us to provide comments. There are a few things, if you're interested, that I think we may want to comment on. One, you heard from Jack and Joe earlier about the major versus minor permit. Additionally, there are some things that were in the settlement agreement that didn't get carried over into the permit, such as the obligation to not only study but actually utilize reuse, which I think is relevant to this revision because they are proposing to take LBR completely out of their improvement schedule. There was an administrative committee that was supposed to be established under the settlement agreement that didn't get carried over to the permit. And then there are some additional comments regarding the need for the decreasing the loading on the spray field. I would propose to include these in a letter and send it up to DEP from the county.
Is that a general? What does LBR stand for?
Lake Bradford Road. It's their older treatment plant downtown.
I move to accept the information report and direct staff to engage an expert to provide a full analysis of the proposed. I want you to send a letter.
You want us to send a letter. We can send a letter without engaging an expert.
Okay.
Engaging an expert would be the next step in the event you did want to have an outside entity look at it and report back to the county of whether they thought there were any problems with this permit.
And I also, so I want you to send a letter. I'd like to accept the information report, and I'd like to make sure we copy each of the city commissioners on the letter in Tallahassee.
So we have a motion to ask Heather to put a letter together. I'd ask that you allow Jack and Joe to work with Heather to put that letter together. Is that okay, Heather?
That's fine.
This is responding to comments, basically.
Yeah.
It's an informal letter. It's not a challenge of any kind.
Okay, we have a motion?
Second, but I would like to expand it if possible. I agree. I think we need to send comments on all the issues that you identified and perhaps some others. I also would like to have an analysis of the permit. And I understand this can be done through your office.
It can be done through my office. We can engage an expert under our contract. It's going to be a few $1,000s, I would expect, at least.
If you think we don't need it to start off with, just to provide the comments that we already have and the information we receive. I don't know that we have to engage an expert yet, except we decide to move forward with a challenge.
I agree. I mean, I think we got two good experts. I mean, Joe has spent a ton of time on this, and if there's an expert out there, I would say Joe Glisson is, and Jack certainly. And so,
Well, I would even look for an engineering expert at that point. This is just a caveat. I'm not suggesting that we go down this route. We're looking for guidance from you all. But if there is any thought to formally intervening in this permitting case, I would be more comfortable intervening if we had some expert determination on the permit before that. Not recommending this, I'm looking for guidance from you all.
okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
I would like to have the expert analysis of the project.
I think simply responding to comments is sufficient at this time. We may send the comments in, they may say, we agree, and then we just wasted our thousands of dollars on an expert. I agree, there's certain things that were in the settlement agreement. Let's ask first. If that doesn't work, then we can do something a little different.
And I can bring it back to you again. Once the formal intent to issue comes out, I'll bring it back.
And they have spent millions and millions of dollars, so, I mean, they are moving forward. I understand the issues. We want everything that they agreed to in there, but let's try asking first. You know what I'm saying?
Well, clearly I'm in the minority on that, so my
Okay.
second stands for the existing motion.
Mostly because of money.
And if we can get some people to review it at no cost, can we do that?
You certainly can. I don't know who that would be.
Okay.
If you guys have somebody who would be happy to
Work
do
on
that, that'd be great.
And y'all are okay, and I think one of the things I'd like to see us do is engage the city commissioners just enough with copying them on the letter.
I agree. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Jack, you put a card in, and
I did put a card in, sir. Thank you very much, and for your time earlier in the evening. This is an issue for some of you that are relatively new to the commission. It's been going on for 12, 14 years, really, which makes you all new to the commission, except for Mike, I guess. We are trying, and have tried for now 7 or 8 years, to have communications with city commissioners. And we usually end up engaging their attorney only, and there's a logic to that on their part, but we are held at arm's distance. They have proposed a number of changes. We have engaged with their engineers pleasantly and successfully, but we say, well, if you're not going to do A, B, and C, then you need to do D and E. And they say, we're not authorized to talk about D and E. We're only authorized to get you to commit to A, B, and C. And that's not a very good position for us to be in. If they're going to do less in 2 areas, then they need to do at least more in one other area. And it's that kind of a situation that we find ourselves in. And as mere citizens, well, that shouldn't be, the word mere should not have to be there, but as mere citizens we have been at a disadvantage lately, and it certainly helped tremendously in the initial development of the settlement agreement that we had the County Commission here as a major partner in that effort. We are really asking for you to take that step to indicate that you have a continuing interest in it, that while, Commissioner Merritt, they have done quite a lot, but they haven't done everything they had promised, and they haven't done enough to give reasonable assurances that when they finish doing everything that they're doing, that the problem will be solved. And we would just like to be able to engage with you all as partners in a continual discussion of this. I think we met with Heather. She's got an excellent grasp of the issue, and talked individually with many of you all. I think you all understand the issue. It's sort of the politics of the thing right now. It's just the ability to get a little bit of leverage, to get someone's attention. We've talked to somebody in town that knows the mayor well, and he raised the question with the mayor, and the mayor said, well, I didn't know there was anything going on. It hasn't reached the level of the leadership of the city yet. So they'll pay attention if you all send a letter, and they have the talent and the engineering skills to do that. And their lawyers are taking the position that their lawyers have been asked to take. Be tough, keep these guys at a distance. So we need to get closer, and I think we can make a lot of progress with your assistance. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Chuck Hess.
Chuck Hess, 112 Lake Ellen Circle. This is one of those issues that's real important to be upfront on, and you need to really be aggressive on your posture to the City of Tallahassee. You know, they want to take the easy way out, they want to take the cheap way out, and Wakulla Springs is only important to us. And, you know, they don't really care about it. And so if you demonstrate your commitment to protect it and give Heather the mandate to really step out there and say, you know, we're going to go to court on this one if you don't fulfill your obligations, I think that'll go a long way in your negotiation.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any more discussion on this? Hearing none, all for the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? If I may, Ms. Arts, just hearing all this, the thought I had was, if you'd like to make a motion or someone make a motion for you to represent the board and go try to sit down with Mayor Marks and take this up with him. I don't think that's a bad thing.
I'd be happy to, if that's what the board would like.
I think that would be good, and I think you're certainly probably the best one up here to go do that. And if you make that motion to...
I'll be glad to make that motion. I'll make the motion that we can send Commissioner Arts as an ambassador to the City of Tallahassee to meet with Mayor Marks. I'd also encourage her to meet with each city commissioner individually. I think there's definitely support from Commissioner Gillum and Commissioner Miller in Tallahassee. Commissioner Miller is a water advocate, and I think we need to get them on board to protect Wakulla Springs. I know it's near and dear to their heart.
Okay.
Second.
Motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Merritt. All for the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you for doing that.
Sure.
And we'll stand by to hear what they had to say to you.
Okay.
Okay. We're almost there. Discussion issues by commissioners. Ms. Arts, you had an item or two, I think.
Yes, and I apologize that these were not in an agenda item format, but I hope they'll seem sufficiently straightforward to you. I serve as the chair for our Transportation Disadvantaged Coordinating Group, and they're very concerned about proposals at the state level, changing in funding and organization of the Medicaid program, and how that will impact the transportation disadvantaged services, which in our county, if you don't know, we have really a model service. Nell Rosar and R.H. Carter at the Senior Center have really put together a program that just gets rave reviews from the state people. And it provides a really important service. I've ridden, there's a young blind woman who uses this to get to and from work. There are a lot of kidney dialysis patients who rely on it, a lot of seniors who need to get to their medical appointments in Tallahassee, and you know, we need to make sure this service is continued. And this is, I'm going to give each of you, it was a model letter and some background material that came from our liaison. with the Regional Planning Council, and they would like, I'm going to send a letter as the chair of this coordinating council. But I was wondering if the board might also like to send a letter. It would go to our state representatives and senators, and so I guess what I would like, and I know it would have to be unanimous, but if there would be willingness to have us put this letter on letterhead and direct the chairman to sign it on behalf of the board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize me to sign this letter as it's drafted.
It will be put on letterhead and tailored with your name as the chairman, and there will be one letter to each senator and representative.
Okay.
So,
good idea. All right, any discussion? Call for the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And again, I'm sorry I didn't get that in the form of an item. My other discussion issue, I am also our commission's representative on the Big Bend Scenic Byway coordinating management entity, and there are proposals at the federal level to get rid of, basically to merge the national office with another federal group, and there are concerns within the state about what the ramifications of that would be, the loss of a resource center and funding for our byway, which is recently had national designation and is still in the growing stages where we need resources and funding. And what occurred to me is there are a number of byways in Florida that serve rural counties as an economic development vehicle. And what I just wanted to propose was that I think there's sufficient overlap with the small county coalition that maybe we try to enlist Chris Doolin as an advocate, even though he works mostly at the state level, to kind of lobby on behalf at the federal level. And also, I know our legal firm has a lobbyist, and I was wondering if we might be able to get her to intervene with members of the transportation, I'm not going to remember who all, members of the Transportation Committee, also Senator Bill Nelson and Senator Rubio, intervening on behalf of all the Florida byways, but in particular for ours. So that wasn't so much a motion as much as just, unless there are any kind of objections, what I would be trying to encourage Chris Doolin and our attorney's lobbyists to do. Do I need it as a motion?
Does it cost anything? Does it cost anything? That's the question. I don't think Heather's person's going to work for nothing.
Yeah, lobbying is a special service. We don't do it generally for you all. I don't know what the level of number would be for this particular issue.
More than an engineer.
But it would be hourly or lump sum.
Oh, really? Okay. I guess.
I mean, it's probably just as effective for if you reach out.
Well, we're all the byway people are writing letters, but I guess I'll just approach Chris Doolin then. And Pam's sitting here. Pam, if you want to add anything to this discussion, or if people have questions about the importance of this. Oh, Scott does.
And while coming up, I think it's a good for someone like Commissioner Moore, if you're excited about this, to reach out to Senator Rubio.
I don't mind reaching out. I just don't want to pay for it.
Yeah, I'm just knowing how politics work. I'm glad to put in a word to Nelson's office if you put in a word to Rubio's office, and we could both reach out to the sides we're more friendly with. That's all I'm saying.
That would be great, and I can provide you with information, and I'll personally try to encourage Chris Doolin to take this on for the Small County Coalition.
And my comment's more on the transportation disadvantaged program that you were speaking to earlier, not the byway program, but TD is preventative medicine and keeps those patients. When TD isn't there to put the stretcher patients and the wheelchair patients in those dialysis beds, those things eventually land in our ambulances, which is a whole lot more expensive for us as a county to support than TD. So I don't know if I'm just offering that as a point in your letter when you put that up.
Okay.
TD is a preventative means that helps keep that burden off of the emergency services system, which leaves our ambulances available for the 911 calls. That was it on the TD thing versus Ms. Pam on the byway.
Okay, we'll add that to the letter. Thank you.
Okay. Any other items?
No, that's it for me.
Mr. Moore, anything?
Definitely. I'll always have something at this time. I have some really good news. A couple of meetings ago, we were talking with the Heritage Group about doing creative finance on property down at MedArt. And if the creative, any way you were going to do it, it's going to be $300,000-$400,000. How you pay for it, how you do it, and whatever. Anyway, it was a dream that could possibly be. But during that meeting, Mr. Boynton was here, and after that meeting, he called me and he said, basically speaking, I think I can solve their problem. And what Mr. Boynton has agreed to do is to give to the Heritage Group 40 acres of land on Zion Church Road to use as their heritage center. The only thing, in order to affect that, we need to change his, I think they call it an SAP, part of the comprehensive plan. But the bottom line of that is the heritage people now will have a place, if we can put this together and accomplish it, they will have a place for nothing. It's a free gift, and let the world know it. It's a free gift from Mr. Boynton to the citizens of the county, and especially the Heritage Group. I've taken several members of the Heritage Group out there. It's an absolute beautiful location. It has a sinkhole, it has a stream, it has high ground, and it's 40 acres. I think maybe Mr. McLaughlin, if you would we don't need too much on this other than your group. Would your group stand? I think I see several of your people here tonight to support this. So just so knowing that the board knows that Mr. Boynton has your support and the board's support in going forward on this. I appreciate that, and I think Mr. Boynton is available for any questions that the board may have to ask him.
I mean, there's a lot of work to be done to get this before the board. I mean, DCA's got to buy into it. You're asking for some significant changes to your what's already approved. So I mean, I love the idea, but we can't give approval tonight.
Definitely. Okay. That's not what I'm asking. I'm just introducing it and introducing Mr. Boynton as being the donor, and then we'll have to go through the process. But it's something that we can all work as a group toward and work this out.
Okay.
Now, I would also, since no one has any questions for you, Mr. Boynton, I guess we're through with you on that. That's one of your easier evenings. But I would like to request board approval to direct staff to attend a preliminary meeting with Mr. Boynton and DCA to explore the possibilities of modifying the special area plan covering his property. So that's a request I have, is that maybe Heather or one of our people would accompany Mr. Boynton to DCA to present his case, and maybe if you take a heritage person with you, that's not a problem. You all work that out. But that's my request, to have
Lindsay, is it something you would normally do? If this is just regular day-to-day operations type stuff, I don't have a problem with it.
We typically go speak with DCA on things that we have applications for already. We do bounce things off of DCA from time to time. This is, I suppose, a unique circumstance. We typically go with when we have something in front of us.
I think
I'd like to see something more in front of us too, Jerry, if I can vote on it. I don't want I appreciate Mr. Boynton. I don't want to be perceived as giving him undue special treatment or whatever. I really appreciate. I talked to Ben today when I met him on the site. I don't want to be, look, he gave you this land, therefore you're doing this special, treating him different than everybody else. I want everybody treated the same. That's all I'm saying.
I have no problem with that, and I don't think anyone's asking for any special treatment. We would have it's my understanding that they can have conversation with the DA and not make any commitments or anything.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're asking for, is just a conversation, but I don't want Mr. Boynton speaking on my behalf in front of DCA, so I want an attorney to follow him. So that's a joke, Mr. Boynton.
I don't mind directing staff to bring back an item on this with some minimal analysis, just so we have a better idea. I think just so we have more information, and that involves going to the meeting together so that we can hear about it and hear what they say. I just want, so we have more knowledge. Mike, what are your thoughts?
I think that at the staff level, I think it needs to be Lindsay. I don't. If we send the attorney, then it's more fees.
And then Lindsay's fine. It doesn't matter. I just want somebody to accompany. It would be my request that somebody accompany Mr. Boynton. This is really, really important, and we're not asking for.
And we agree, Jerry. But we need some more information in front of us. I mean.
Okay, let me rephrase it. We're not asking for any approval or anything. We're just entering into discussion with them before we would take them or present to the board, just to sort of get their idea of how we go about this.
Can Lindsay just call whoever and?
It would be Susan Poplin that we need to meet with at DCA, and I can just give her a call, although, bounce kind of some of the general parameters that I know of. Currently, I don't know if anything has changed since we met, but when you really get down to details, then I would think DCA would also say they would.
I wouldn't mind a general discussion. I don't want to get put in the position of us advocating. I don't know completely all of Ben's details. It sounds great, but I don't want to get in the position that we're advocating for this, and then we find out when we get more information that, I didn't know that part. But if we want Lindsay to call and just find out, hey, is this doable? I got no problem with that, as long as we're not spending any money or do anything special.
Let me get Chuck Hess. He may add some clarity to this.
I doubt it. Chuck Hess, 112 Lake Ellen Circle. I'm concerned here because if I can't, on the planning commission, I have I can't talk about this proposal because it's going to come before the planning commission at some point. But the point, if you send Lindsay or send the attorney or somebody, you're starting to look pre-decisional to DCA when they go forward. So, there's no proposal here, there's no, there's no project on the agenda, so don't be pre-decision like you're already approving this before you go forward. Thank you.
And that's where I'm at. I want to see this work, Jerry, but procedurally, we got to get something in front of us so that we can say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, now let's move forward. I don't have anything in front of me.
Not a problem. I guess basically Lindsay has seen the plat. Lindsay, you have had discussions with Mr. Boynton. We've been there on that. Then basically, do you have any difficulty with calling DCA and saying, hey, this is what it looks like? Can you give us some sort of guidance on how we go forward? What we really want to do here is to make this work within the rules.
I think what we have done, I won't say in similar circumstances, but in circumstances where we don't have an active application in front of us, but we know one is impending for a comp plan change, we'll call DCA up and we'll say, hey, this is what we know about it. Procedurally, can you give us some guidance on how to process this? Would it require, in this case, would it require a change to the SAP? Text change to the comp plan? What's the process for that? I think the further down the road we get on, I think we can talk about maybe some general parameters or items in the SAP, and kind of take a reading, I guess, from DCA. But I don't think they're going to really give you much. They're going to probably say, okay, here's how you're going to process it as a text amendment. You're going to advertise it. You're going to send it. They're going to probably give you a lot of, that assistance.
Jerry, let me interrupt, Jerry. Here's what I suggest. If I were doing this, I would get Ben and a representative from the Historical Society, make an appointment with Lindsay and yourself, and let's get a game plan. What do we need to do? What are y'all proposing?
With all due...
I understand. Okay, go ahead.
With all due respect, that's what we have. We've met with Mr. McLaughlin, met with Mr. Ben, met with Lindsay, and we had a plat showing what was going to happen. And
okay, show it. Give us something that we can have in our hands here to figure out what you want to do. I don't want it now. I don't.
We're not going to vote on this tonight.
You need to put this on the agenda in a proper format and get it to us so we can vote on it.
And also so the public too can look at it. I mean, there are other people who have interest.
Very good. We'll do that.
I think it's a grand idea. I really do, and I appreciate, Ben, your offer. And I hope we can, in the end, get there. And I think we can. We just got to get through it procedurally.
That's no problem. I'll bring it up on the next agenda. Can we do that?
One thing about this, when I met Ben, I think what he was looking for was some sort of gauge of how we as a commission felt about the idea. I think it's a great idea from what I've seen so far. If everything looks the way it keeps looking the way it looks now, I'm behind it.
I agree.
I think that's kind of what you would look. He doesn't want to spend a bunch of money and time.
Not a problem.
Okay, and I think we can get there from here.
I will bring that on the next agenda to the board.
Okay. Is that all your items?
One other thing. I have citizens who, we had a little accident down in Panacea, and I'm going to exaggerate a little bit. On this particular accident, I'll just talk about an accident that occurred with me. When during the election, I was over here at the voting precinct in town, and the cars were slowing down to turn in to vote. A motorcycle happened to back in the automobile. He tipped over, picked his motorcycle up, opened a pack of cigarettes, and started smoking. In a few minutes, I'm going to exaggerate, we had 16 MES trucks, or EMS trucks, and 9 fire wagons. The citizens want to know why on earth that many service people, and why on earth do we have to have 16 fire wagons at a fender bender? It's I'm getting this from everywhere I go. If it's the law, it's one thing. If it's not the law, then we need to stop it. So you got some. Would you like to answer that? They're just concerned when they see so many fire trucks come bowling down the road on a fender bender.
This is a question I've answered repeatedly over my last 20 or so years. The challenge we have is we design a system for every call. We can't design a system for one call. We respond about 3,500 a year. When the dispatcher receives a 911 call, that dispatcher cannot qualify the information being received through that telephone. They don't know the person. They don't know if they're the ones who caused the accident. We've had 911 calls for murders from the shooter. We have to plan for the worst and hope for the best. More than once, I've run a little lady fell down on the sidewalk. When we get there, it's a full code. She's not breathing, nobody's around, and one person doesn't do very well at resuscitating a patient. We have a system. Once the 911 call is made, we plan for the worst. And more than once, I've seen, oh, he fell off his motorcycle, and get there and he's dead. He's been run over by 4 cars. The person calling does not, we can't depend on the information received from the first person. So what we do is everybody goes. The first set of eyeballs that gets on that scene relays a scene size up, and then from there we taper. And you're shaking your head, Commissioner Moore, but I promise you the first child that we don't resuscitate because we wanted to be cheap on fuel, we will lose. But that's the system design. We send it all until there is an educated eyeball assessment of the scene, and then we cancel.
I can appreciate that.
So that's how we do it.
But why would you send a ladder truck to a motorcycle accident when there's EMS there, the man's out on the sidewalk smoking?
We don't, we don't know who the person is calling 911. And the people, the dispatchers in that sealed room can't assess the scene. And so until a first responder gets on scene, a deputy gets on scene, a firefighter, an EMS agent, those are the people who we can qualify their experience and their education to do an appropriate assessment of this situation. That's what we do, and that's
I am never going to be satisfied with that.
Okay, that's the system design and how it works. Everywhere. We're not making this up on our own. That happens everywhere. Yes, ma'am.
On a lot of the people that are showing up, either first responders, volunteer, firefighters, and at the time that they head to the scene, they don't know where our ambulances are.
Right.
We could have all 3 ambulances out of the county, and that it would be the firefighter in the ladder truck who's the most qualified to be doing, resuscitative kind of things.
Right, and they're also the ones who do the assessment and go back to dispatch, and everybody with a radio can hear the scene size up. So the first person on that scene that has the training that's appropriate to make that qualification then comes back with a scene size up, and we taper the response from there.
Scott, if I can just...
Yes, sir.
I hear where Jerry's coming from, and I hear where Lynn, and I think in the
middle... And the ladder truck is not, we only have one of those, so that was a coincidence.
Let me finish.
Yes, sir.
I too have had folks complain because we have all these people converging, and I know that the call comes from dispatch, and if they don't, if they specifically don't dispatch a fire truck, they know that it only requires an ambulance or whoever's there, then don't send. What's happening, Scott, is that people like to jump in fire trucks and go roaring down there when they may not be needed. We just got to be true. And I don't want anybody to go unattended either, or any citizen. The point is that we just need to be more prudent, I think.
Let me give you one more caveat to our system. We do not have a rostering of volunteers. So right now, I don't know whether there's a volunteer available in Crawfordville. I don't know whether there's a volunteer available in MedArt. So the tone goes out, whoever's available responds, because we don't roster them, we don't qualify them down to a certain number of hours sitting at the station waiting for a call. The tone goes out, and then we're dependent upon who's available. That might be 0. It might be 20. Okay. So that's part of the randomness that involves our volunteer system. So until we roster them and tie them down to a date, then that's going to...
When I have a heart attack, I want somebody to show up.
As quickly as possible.
But I don't need 6 people to show up, is what I'm saying.
Sarge is a first responder.
As quickly as possible. When you're having a heart attack, you need somebody to show up. And then they are the ones who say, we only need an ambulance. Okay.
I think that's what I'm not speaking for you, Mr. Moore, but I think what he's asking is just try to, in the future, I mean, we got to tighten, and everywhere we tighten, it helps.
One of the goals that we've had is what's called rostering, and that's to have people sign up for a certain...
Please speak into the mic.
Then we don't have the random calls that...
Okay. All right, that's okay. We got it. Anything else? Mr. Brock?
Just a couple brief comments. Dr. Howard Kessler mentioned earlier tonight, talked about the budget issues. I think one of the things that we've done that I think leads towards that is we do have a fiduciary impact on each of our agenda items now. So if you ever are curious about where a budget's cost is coming from or how much what the fiscal impact is on the county, you can go online and look at our agenda, and it says this costs this much money, and it comes from here. And I want to echo Ms. Hickman's comments. I am anxiously awaiting that Commissioner Merritt to come back with his proposal for the library. I'm optimistic that it will be sooner versus later.
Go ahead, that's next.
So, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Merritt?
Actually, that was on my list to talk about here. Got 3 items real quick. The horse arena, please tell me that's still going to be done on schedule?
Yes, we have the permit as of Friday.
Haven't forgotten about it. I'm sure y'all doing your best on it.
We're rolling forward.
Number 2 is the Hutto House in Panacea. I mentioned to Jennifer. The county actually owns this property. It's on the corner of Clark and I don't remember where it's at, but it's right there where Eddie's used tire shop used to be there behind Panacea IGA. Anyway, we own that house. I don't know if you was around when the county bought it because of the lift station being there. It needs to be torn down, first of all, and I asked, ask if somebody get with Cleve and tear it down, but it'd be nice for parking. Cherie Posey brought it up to me. It's a piece of county property. I wouldn't call it nice because there's a lift station next to it, and that's why we bought it, but it is a piece of county property, and if nothing else, it has an eyesore on it owned by us that should be a condemned house, and I think if we can, at no cost, get it torn down, I think we should do that. Item number 3.
Does that fall under code enforcement, or since we own it? I don't know.
We can tear it down.
Okay.
Make a motion and we'll get a unanimous vote to tear it down.
All right.
Bring you back a cost, or
bring it back
is that what you're requesting, or is it just tear it down?
If it doesn't cost anything, I'll make a motion and we have the Hutto House torn down then. And
just bring it. Okay.
Let's try.
You've got a bond. You're going to take it down for free?
I'd make a motion we dispose of the Hutto House, and I don't care how we do it, as long as it doesn't cost anything.
If there's any good material in it for the historic...
Absolutely. In fact, I'll defer till you go look at it. You know where it's at? Get with me. Get with me, and I'll take it.
Okay. Anything else?
All right. 3rd item. I went to Tim to talk, last week to talk about looking at the impact fee study. I just want to make sure I'm not stepping on any toes. I said I would look at it. Is that the direction of the board that I...
You said you were going to bring us back some...
Okay. But I need to ask the sheriff's department how many calls they had. I need to ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to, and as you're doing that and coming up with a number that you feel comfortable with, the county attorney, I don't know that we want you coming up with a secondary official study, because that might cause problems.
I understand.
Okay.
I just want to update the numbers to 2010, and there's going to be, my opinion is going to be in there. I might think I'll justify everything as best I can, but just let me bring something back.
Talk with, and I don't know, but I would talk with the county attorney to make sure that if you come back with a second study that somehow invalidates our first study or gives a secondary set of numbers to argue with our first study, it may make the whole thing complicated. But if you came back with proposed, I feel that 10% of this number is good. Like if you come up with your study and you think the impact fee should be $100 and that's 10% of whatever it was, I would come back and say, I feel comfortable with 10% of this impact fee, and I think that is legal.
Our impact fee ordinance, in fact, says that we need to update the numbers. It says once every 4 years or more often, so I think there's...
Okay. I was just...
We just structure it as an update.
Okay.
If you want to go through that full-blown effort.
Well, I'm going to take the methodology that's in there, the calculations, and just look at the numbers. Like, they said we had X many of calls, how many of those were really calls for CERT? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you can disagree with what I've come up with.
Okay.
I applaud your initiative. I have some of Alan's concerns that, it has to be a legally defensible study, and I don't think I don't know. I'm not sure how far we can deviate from the other
Not to
study.
beat this to death, but we did reduce our impact fees by half. We arbitrarily decided they should be this amount when the study said this, so I think, and the impact fee itself says we can make them whatever we want, really. But here's what the study
Yeah, we
says.
can adjust how much percentage we want, but I'm not sure that we can really do much changing of the study.
Happy to work.
Okay.
That's all I was asking. I just want to make sure you guys had my
work with
blessing to
Heather.
work on it, yes.
Okay?
Thank you.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh, we broke a record. We broke a record with
Help
7:30.
us any, but that's okay. We're adjourned.
Broke a record.
Okay, thank you.